What is going on, everybody? It is a Tuesday, February 11th, and it is another episode of Let There Be Talk / Combo the Grail today, because we have pretty much one of my heroes returning to the show. And if you know anything about me, you know I absolutely worship rock and roll t-shirts. I love rock and roll fashion. I love rock and roll music. And I love people that are pure artists. And that's what it is today. Blaine Halvorson returns from the greatest merchandise rock and roll t-shirt company on the planet, Maidworn. Now, if you didn't hear my original episode with him, go back and jump into that. Back when I first met this man, I knew he was going to be in my life for the rest of my life. And since I've had him on, some amazing things have happened over the years. He's created watches for Timex. He has done these giant installs for Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses and Led Zeppelin. And one of the coolest things he's done is created a brand new vodka with his good buddy, Jason Momoa. So we're going to hear all about what this man's been doing. And I could talk to him for hours. And when I see him, I usually do. I ran into him at the Janie's Fund event. And it was a surprise to see him there. I had no idea he was going to be there. And to me, he was a bigger rock star than everybody that was on stage. Whenever I see this man, he makes me smile. And I just absolutely love him. And he is a giant influence on anything that I do. Vegas is where I'm at right now. Doing a residency out here at the Comedy Cellar all this week. Did 2 shows last night. Fantastic. I've been burning it up all week from my birthday last week. Definitely feeling 59. I'm going to tell you that right now. And, you just get up each day, try to eat clean, do some exercising, positive thinking, and you carry on. Shut the TV off. As Kendrick would say, shut the TV off. My TV hasn't been on in, 16 years. Get out there, get some fresh air. Tickets, DeanDelray.com for all my shows. Punchline is coming up, San Francisco. I'm working on all new jokes. And come see me, bomb or have fun or try to fucking figure it out. Watch the process. I will be there February 26th through March 1st. I'm also going to be at the Comedy Fort in Colorado. And like I said, I'm here in Las Vegas. A bonus episode of Let There Be Talk will be out on Patreon tomorrow. A lot of stuff I cover on that, including the Super Bowl, the Zeppelin film I just saw, which is unreal. I talk a little bit about Dave Jordan, the magic of AC/DC's song Touch Too Much, Black Sabbath announcing one more show. There's all kinds of stuff on the bonus episode tomorrow. That is patreon.com/DeanDelray. Shout out to the new Patreoners. Bernie Guerrera, thank you. Brett Bledsoe, love you, buddy. James DeWeaver, he's an old school Delraiser, but gave a nice donation there. Arno the Frog. These are the Patreoners. I love you. I love all you for tuning in each week. Leave a review. What are you doing? Takes a second. Leave a review and subscribe on iTunes and YouTube. Spread the word. Grab clips. Show them to your buddy. Come on, man. What are you doing? I love you guys. Keep the candles lit. I will see you out there on the road. Here he is right now. My main man, Blaine, stopping by for a excellent conversation. Candles lit. Oh, man. How are you, buddy?
What's up, brother?
When was the last time you were on? It was years ago.
When we did this last?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Dude, like,
that was
so...
like That's got to be like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, so fucking long ago, man. And then after that, I interviewed Kirk Hammett at your place, and now we're over at the new place.
He brought Greenie.
Yeah, he brought Greenie. Remember that?
We got to see Greenie.
I tell you what, that was one of the great.
He's a fucking good dude. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
How good is that guy?
He's a really beautiful human. Yeah.
It's amazing when you hang out with certain rock stars. That guy's beyond rock star, and you just go like, "Oh, this guy's just a fucking solid human."
Yeah, like, I mean, you and I are fortunate enough to know a few that they're just like, you're, you know, I don't get starstruck very often. I don't much care about that stuff. There's certain like the true like rock stars.
Yeah.
And when they're actually cool and humble, it's like, it's a really beautiful thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, first of all, I'm talking to Blaine, and we had him on years ago. Made Worn, my favorite T-shirts on the planet. And I was dying to have you back on because so much has happened with you got the Vodka now, and you've moved into another place, and the era has kind of changed. What's that place in Beverly Hills? Barney's closed, and luxury stuff is going through a different time now. But you're unfazed because you're never looking to be giant, you know. So I wanted to talk to you again, you know?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I obviously, you know, I started this crazy journey with Made Worn, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago. And it was a passion project. I didn't really, you know, I had junk food before and, you know, had sort of taken that to where, you know, I got all the fulfillment I needed out of that creatively, and Made Worn sort of gave me another platform to sort of spread my wings and sort of try to push bigger boundaries. And the music piece of the licensing I still really enjoyed, and, you know, and why I continue to explore it further and really try to chase, you know, recreating, you know, the what I felt the best representation of the, you know, the vintage T-shirt that I could. Obviously the vintage tees, they carry such an amazing, you know, story, and you know, the art, it just brings you, you know, it has the ability to bring you back to those different times, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and so on. So, but yeah, a lot is, it's insane how much has changed, you know, in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
Especially in the luxury market. It's just it's become a different beast. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's, I think with Instagram and, you know, exclusive online drops, it makes it also even more cooler, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we, you know, obviously, you know, we try to do these fun little drops, you know, every week or every couple weeks with different artists. It's very, very rare we ever, you know, reprint or ever bring that back. So, you know, I like to keep it so it feels too like it's, you know, you're actually getting something that there's only, you know, maybe 50 or 60 of total in the, you know, on this planet. So, we, you know, we've built this incredible base of people that have followed us for a long time and collect our tees. And it's cool watching people just even collect across all the different genres. It's not just like, I have this one band. It's, you know, people I think a lot of times collect tees, probably sometimes don't even know who the band is. They just like the artwork, you know, and I think that's also a cool, you know, homage to, you know, how great some of the artists were in that time when they were, you know, when rock tees were really coming to life.
Yeah, absolutely. What I like about it is, you know, you get a shirt like I'm looking right now by the Police. You know, now I went to the Ghost in the Machine tour and I got that shirt and then it disintegrated. And I talked to you about it years before. The first shirt I got from you was the Dynasty 1979 Kiss Tour shirt. And that thing disintegrated. And to be able to get these shirts again that aren't your just, you know, print order bullshit. They actually feel like an authentic vintage shirt, but even better. I always tell people, get like 3 Made Worn shirts. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Because you'll wear them the rest of your life. The way they feel on you and everything is just amazing. But to get that and be able to get artists that I didn't get back in the day, like a Stevie Wonder, a Fleetwood Mac, a Dolly Parton. These are amazing shirts by people that not necessarily even did merch back in the day, or they did and it was so rare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a band, to find a Dolly Parton merch shirt is super rare.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too. It's like trying to bring some life to, like you said, all these artists that like may not have even had merch in the time, you know, or it goes like you said, so far back that it just wasn't a part of the system at that time. And so being able to try to, you know, recreate like what I believe it would have been like, you know,
right,
at that time period, you know, is also, you know, incredibly rewarding. So listen, it's been an amazing journey. I've been, you know, incredibly fortunate to be able to work with so many insane artists for such a long period of time. And listen, it's still something. Listen, I collect vintage tees still, like a hoarder.
Yeah. How many you got now?
Probably buy. I'm over 6,000 now, originals. So yeah, and I'm still buying, you know, 20, 30 a week.
Whoa.
It gets harder now to find ones I don't have, you know? So obviously I fell in love and still truly in love with the horrible bootlegs that you find overseas. Some of my favorite tees, they're coming from other places, and the artworks is, it's just on a different spectacle of magic.
One of the things that I absolutely love that you do is these installs. You were doing them at Fred Siegel. They're gone now, I believe.
Yep.
But I think you did one at the Sphere. Did you do that? Or where did you do that Dead & Co. one? Like,
I didn't do. So we did Aerosmith.
Right. That's right.
Up at the MGM in Vegas. We did the Big Zeppelin one. That was one of the larger ones we did with LVMH and Bon Marché in Paris.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was crazy.
Ago, where we rebuilt the Hindenburg, the Led Zeppelin balloon, and did a whole curated like 4,000 unique pieces for the Bon Marché. That was crazy because we had to engineer the thing here and then have it re-engineered in France. So yeah, that was a big lift. And then, you know, bringing the Prevost tour bus into Fred Siegel on Sunset.
That was
like, we had like an 1/8-inch clearance, you know, gutting down an old tour bus and putting it inside a building was pretty killer. We cut that thing into like 7 pieces so we could get it through the doors and then put it all back together. Like you would never know that we had even, you know, it's like one of those cool, like how'd they get the ship in the bottle sort of thing, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously we launched the Guns N' Roses tour way back when at Tower Records on Sunset for their first show at the Troubadour, and rebuilt basically more or less a fully working, like stinky, dirty, like rock and roll bar.
Yeah.
You know,
which is now
strip
supreme.
poles and all of that. It was like, that was a pretty cool build, and we built that from start to finish in like 5 days, from inception to finish. That was So listen, I love obviously curating space. I think it helps tell so much of the story and brings people into the environment. You know, the last time we did this interview was at my space on Fairfax.
Oh God, it was epic.
I still miss that place. That was a really wonderful place. But yeah, it's always been a part of my ethos. I'm building 2 crazy worlds in Montana right now for our vodka company that'll open to the public at the end of April. So yeah, always trying to, you know, push those boundaries.
When you're working with a band, let's say you do quite a bit of Metallica, Chris Robinson's coming by today for photos and stuff. When you're working, let's say GNR and stuff, do you ever end up talking to the actual artists like Kirk Hammett or Axl or Slash or people like that go, hey, I really like this era of our merch. Can we redo this? Or is it just kind of management and stuff?
It's a blend. I mean, there's certain artists that, you know, I've built a relationship with. And then there's some, you know, there's other artists that it goes through the management. So I think it's a 50-50 sort of blend. You know, obviously there'll be anniversaries that'll come about for albums or tours or the artists, you know, that we'll do special things for. I know Marley's doing a big thing in Vegas this summer that I'm going to be a part of, curating a whole experience for that.
Wow.
So I think, those things are always coming about,
Right.
Billy Idol right now is going out on tour, and he's got, different anniversaries. So every year there's, it's the thing. We do so much with the classic rock. He's got 50, there's 50 anniversaries, 60th anniversaries. It's like, it's so wild to
That's what Hetfield said. He said, if you're around long enough, every day is an anniversary of something.
Yeah.
A tour, an album, a member.
Somebody's always got, something. So you kind of pick and choose, the ones that you think, yeah.
I think out of, 788 episodes, and then out of all of the artisans that I've had on, from boots to stereo makers to choppers to denim guys, all that, Maid Warren is probably the most incredible episode. Last when I first talked to you, and then the brand and everything about it. It's really all I wear now. But it's funny because now I'm down to the blanks. I'm 59 as of 2 days ago. So I'm really into the blanks now.
Yeah, man. Happy damn birthday.
Yeah. Thanks, bud. But you know what I mean?
Listen, it's funny enough, obviously I make the prints, but I only wear the blanks. That's all I've ever worn. I don't like printed shirts, crazy enough. Never have. So the blanks, it's all I live in, And the thing is, it's I own the damn company, and I will wear these things. Like you said, I have 3 of them in my drawer. They're falling apart.
Yeah.
But that's when they're amazing. And eventually, I'll come and grab another couple. But you don't need very many. And like you said, they just become a part of your every day.
Yeah. I wore it on my special, man.
Listen, the Rick Owens tank was like that. I literally lived and breathed in those. It's every year when they would come, because I'd buy all the double XLs that they had in the damn country that I could find.
Right.
And it was always my undershirt, and it was it's that same thing when you find those things, and the t-shirts are like that, denim's like that. You find and it's you're sort of that's it,
Yeah.
That's a lot of why I built Maid Warren. It's I couldn't find stuff anymore that I loved,
Yeah.
So it allowed me to create the stuff that I wanted to wear and the stuff that I liked, and we make everything here, and all of our t-shirts are from picking the yarn to knitting, all the way through the process here in Los Angeles, which I'm something I'm still incredibly proud that we're able to do, because manufacturing, as everyone knows, is a rare thing in this country anymore, and nobody's making clothes in this country anymore.
No.
So it's a big piece. I do it because I want to, I like having the actual physical, I'm there to be a part of it. I get to touch it all, and we age it all by hand. If I didn't make it here, I wouldn't be able to do that, And
Right.
that's the part that I enjoy. I like the actual physical, you see my boots, they're covered in paint. I still do all of the work.
Yeah.
I still put the pins on all the hats. I still age all of them. I don't have this group of people that oh, that's my guy who splatters. I splatter literally every single thing that has ever gone into the market that has splattered paint on it. I did every single one of them, because it's it gives me it's like a retreat. It clears my brain. It just gives it's therapeutic almost. I really enjoy the process of how we've done stuff. It's why I still do this.
We were at an event a couple nights ago, the Steven Tyler's Janie's Fun, and
he's another one of those, as we talked about with Kirk, he's just an amazing human.
Oh,
I just love, you're how the when I'm that age,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm gonna the dude's fucking cartwheels and backflips and somersaults, and just get the energy of freaking 12-year-old. It's insane, and it's just it's intoxicating.
Yeah. Well, what I noticed about that night, and first of all, when I saw you, I was fired up, oh my God, what a surprise. It's, when you're around a group of rock and rollers the ones that aren't the tumbleweeds of like, oh, what happened? But the actual dudes that are lifers.
Oh, and he and Joe are like, they're as fucking rock and roll as you get. It would be hard to, like, those dudes are like absolute, like, iconic, top 5, like, no question, like, did it all.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they pushed every boundary.
And still living.
And still, like, I mean, his voice.
Oh, my God.
Insane. And they still rock. So great getting to see him up on stage again.
Oh, my. I know.
And Tom, like, coming out with that riff, like.
to hear Toys in the Attic.
I mean.
Man. These are the things that they do.
Mick Fleetwood up there on the little fucking bongo.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn. It was cool.
Fucking insane, though. Just that energy of being around rock and roll. Whenever there's a group of rock and roll together, like an event like that, the energy in that room is fucking electric, man. I mean, you just walk in and you
People
go,
are happy.
oh my God.
Like, yeah, it's like.
It was fire, man.
That was a fun evening, man. It was really cool getting to see all the different live music too. And
oh yeah, oh man. Yeah. I mean, you know, Billy Idol
rocked. Billy Idol rocked. Like they still bring such a great energy. It's like I mean, and Billy Idol's still up there, like
70, shirt off.
Never worn a T-shirt in his life.
No,
just still like just rocking it. You know?
Fucking unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
Now, since I've talked to you, you and Jason Momoa have launched a vodka, and let me ask you this: am I correct here? The goal was to launch a high caliber vodka for a people's price, not a baller price. Am I right on that?
Yeah, we wanted to create a spirit that everyone could enjoy, you know, that wasn't this crazy, super expensive, you know. We wanted to be, in the vodka world, we wanted to be in that, you know, sort of Tito's, less than Grey Goose, less than Kettle, sort of in that range. But create a far superior product than, you know, what had been done. So listen, Jason and I, the biggest thing about Meili, it's like, I think people look at Jay and I and the last thing they would think we would create is a vodka. And they're totally right. I mean, we hated vodka. It wasn't something I drank, you know? To me, to Jay and I, it's an ingredient. I mean, that's what people know vodka as. It's an ingredient. It's a martini. It's a vodka soda. Yeah. Whereas people, the way the market has been built, people understand tequila. They understand mezcal. They understand whiskey. It's why you saw so many people over the last 10 years is this sort of, you know, whatever you want to call health craze or however you want to explain it, where people didn't want all the additives, they didn't want the sugars, they didn't want the hangover from the sugar. They started moving away at times from vodka and going into tequila and mezcals and whiskeys, especially females, because they could sip it. And it was like, it was a cleaner spirit because you weren't putting a bunch of other stuff in it. So we wanted to listen, vodka is a bunch of old stale brands. They've been around all of them been around 30 years. There's been no innovation. I mean, all you have to do is walk into a liquor store and look at the difference between the innovation just in the packaging alone in like the tequila section, the whiskey section, and then vodka is just like, it's just the same dust collecting sort of world. It's the biggest piece of the pie, you know. It's still the most drank spirit in the world.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, it's still the biggest piece.
It's all I drank. When I was drinking, I would drink vodka Collins.
Yeah.
First it was vodka orange juice, and then you realize, oh, this is awful in the morning, you know?
Yeah.
And then I switched to Greyhounds, which was vodka and grapefruit, and that gave you crazy heartburn and shit. I was like, what am I doing? Then I found Collins mixer, and that was it. Vodka Collins, man, you know, and beer.
Yeah, but you weren't drinking it straight.
Never. No one ever drank it straight. That's wild, right?
So we wanted to see, like, listen, we didn't come from a liquor background.
Yeah.
You know, I was completely enamored with the storytelling and sort of lore of moonshine. You know, like how it was done. But moonshine's a small little thing, but it's a neutral spirit. So for all intents, it's vodka. For I was like, let's see if we can create an actual sippable vodka, something that like actually has a foundation and an actual flavor profile. This idea of odorless, tasteless. Anybody who's tasted vodka is like, if that was the case, like everyone fucking failed.
Yeah.
That's why they put shit in it, because no one wants to drink it. It's hot.
Yeah.
It burns. And then this like 10 times distilled, The only thing surviving distillation is alcohol. That's why people don't like it.
I hate it.
Who wants to drink just pure alcohol?
Oh, it's gross. Everclear?
We single distill.
Yeah.
You know, and we were fortunate. Listen, we partnered with Expedition Studios 5-6 years ago. Our very dear friend Renan Ozturk does a lot of amazing documentary stuff, work for National Geographic and so forth. Started going all over the world with him, basically studying water and bringing these crazy water sources back from Antarctica and, you know, Greenland, and really studying. Vodka's 60% water, so we were like, let's focus on the water source.
Wow.
So that became all the focus. We wanted to find an actual water we didn't have to touch, didn't have to strip it down, didn't have to run it through RO, got to leave all the minerality in it, and build the vodka around that.
Wow.
So my dad, like 4 or 5 years ago, called Jason and I was like, there's this amazing water source, supposed to be this amazing water source in Montana, where I was born and raised. You know, Jay and I were like obviously skeptical as anybody, because we were like, Dad, I'm like going all over the world like with this crazy crew studying waters that are like, you know, mythical. And he's like, no, it's supposed to really be something special. And I don't think my dad understood how special this thing was. But anyway, Jay and I flew up there, and, you know, fortunately, you know, my dad's really who's found and created. That's why Meili really exists, is that water source. So it's a, you know, 300 million year old aquifer that comes up to a limestone shelf. It's the, you know, the only water source that we've found on Earth with basically little to no sodium in it. So it makes our vodka sweet, and we don't have to touch it. It's, you know, there's only a couple water sources left on this continent. The EPA requires no testing or treatment, so we get to bring and use actual living water. So to leave all the beautiful minerals of this, you know, mountain magic.
That's crazy.
In our bottle. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like if you proof our mash with any other water source, the flavor profile and the sweetness is completely gone. But because you don't have that salt blocking all the sugars, it, you know, it creates this beautiful thing. So, and then we do a very unique thing. We age our spirit. So because we use a living water, putting age on it, it actually like gets even smoother and smoother. So, you know, I'm drinking like 3 and 4 year old Meili vodka now. That's like, it's evil how good it is.
Wow.
Like, it's a different world. So, you know, as I was telling you, I'm building these worlds. One of the places I'm building in Montana is basically what is our, you know, our huge aging facility. So that's just, like I said, it'll be a key piece of what we're doing, and really continuing to sort of re-educate, you know, even this whole, you know, gluten-free thing. Listen, every alcohol is gluten-free until you put an additive of some other crap in it.
Right.
So, you know, people market like, it's like, yeah, we're gluten-free too. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just, there's so much misinformation and smoke and mirrors around it. So, you know, my whole thing is like, line them up. Don't even have to take a sip. Just put your nose to it and tell me which one doesn't burn you. You know what I mean? And we'll win every time.
Wow.
So that was, you know, Jay and I had to create a spirit that we liked, that we could drink, because we hated it. We didn't like vodka. So we had to create. So once we had that, you know, then we hoped that the rest of the world would like it. So, you know, this isn't like only drink Meili neat. It just gives, it's just such a far superior product. It's 3 ingredients. We have our farms in Montana. It's literally wheat, corn, and water, you know.
And a distillery you built, right?
We have a distillery up there. You know, so, you know, we're nationwide now. We're global. We're in, I think, 15 countries. You know, and then obviously the glass sustainability is incredibly important to Jason and I. So no 2 bottles are the same. It's, you know, made with 100% recycled glass. You know, it's, again, we're trying to bring, you know, all of these things at a price point where everyone can actually like have something better and actually bring something to their friends and be, you know, like, you know, here's something nice, rather than, you know, the cheapest glass, the cheapest plastic lid.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
yeah. Just
so
fucking
so on.
All profit.
Here you go.
You know?
Yeah. It's like, it's Exxon pumping out like more stuff. So, so anyway, it's been, like I said, it's, you know, Jay and I, we spent 7.5 years building this thing. This was not a race. You know, this was like 2 friends trying to create something that we were incredibly proud of. And, you know, we launched 2 years ago, and it's been, you know, it's been an amazing journey so far.
When you launched it, you guys went on kind of an incredible, rock and roll style tour. You went
Oh
everywhere.
my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we did these like, I think we've been to almost every state in the U.S. now. I'm going to London at the end of this month. But yeah, we go do these bottle signings, and it's like 6,000-7,000 people sometimes outside, and we get pictures with every one of them, and we're signing, sometimes doing double signings in a day. And you're signing 3,000-4,000 bottles a day. It was something.
Yeah, I was watching.
It was like getting like a straw stuck in both your ears and up your nose, and people just sucking it all out of you.
Unbelievable.
But listen, it was incredible to see everybody coming out and supporting us and being a part of this. Like I said, it's a big process. The vodka world's very stubborn because again, people don't really they know it in a martini and stuff. So again, we're just trying to change the way people perceive and realize that vodka actually can be actually really enjoyable. I only sip it neat. I only drink it, and so is Jay. It's all Montana.
Yeah,
that's
Montana.
the beauty too, where I was born and raised. Everything's there. Our distillery, our farms are 15 minutes apart. And
Yeah.
the water's there, so it's pretty cool.
At any point, did you? I mean, you're going into a booze world and completely have no idea about it at all. Did you talk to people like Sammy Hagar or anybody, since he is rock and roll, and you can ask him for some advice? Like, I mean, to me, he was kind of the first guy that created his own thing out of that, special tequila out there in Mexico with this, his blend, and then he sold it for $1 zillion, and now I think he has a rum.
He does,
So
yeah.
did you talk to him at all, or?
No, you know what? We kind of like wanted to stay our own. Like, me. Like I'm like I like to just sort of hide myself away and ask every single question and throw every dart known to mankind and try to prove everything that people are telling me.
Can't
wrong,
do,
or you can't do, or it's like it won't matter.
That's
or
my
like
fuel.
This. I mean, everyone was like, water doesn't matter. Because everyone's using stripped down water. It's got no life in it. You know?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of, I wanted to, and Jay and I, we wanted this to be ours. I didn't want the noise. That's why, literally, it was just he and I. No one really even knew what we were doing for a long time,
Yeah.
Found this cool glass blower backies went and we cut a cherry tree down, carved the first, we blew the first 50 bottles out of a mold we carved out of a cherry tree, which I still have.
Really?
So that set the inspiration of like, okay, now how the hell are we recreating this cool look, with all the bubbles and texture and everything you get in hand-blown glass. But it was like I said, it was like, we were two kids just like exploring everything that there was and absorbing it and taking, what we learned and making tons of mistakes to get to where we were. And, but that's the beauty of he and I's relationship. We've had an amazing ability to push each other's boundaries that way,
Let me ask you a little bit about, since I've last interviewed you, you did this incredible watch collab. Let's talk a little bit about that, man, because everything you do is just so fucking over the top. So, okay, you're going to do a Made-Worn watch collab, but it comes in this burnt-up box, and you worked on the dial for like a year, and then it comes out. It's just fantastic. Let's get into a little bit about that, because you and I love watches.
Yeah, I mean, some of these things, they just, they just weirdly come about. The watch thing started years ago with a dear friend who's passed. We were into filigree, beautiful filigree you would see on old rifles and things. And so, one day we were like, why don't we carve watches, like let's carve Rolexes and Cartiers and like bring that beautiful filigree into it. Not knowing at the time like how hard Rolex steel is. It's like some of the hardest metal there is.
Yeah, right.
So we're sending, we were taking Rolexes apart at the time. We'd send them off to these, some of the best, carvers in the world. And they were like, this metal's too, it's like, it's much harder than a lot of the gun steel,
Right.
So it was a process of, in the beginning of, one, learning, finding the right artist to carve it. and then, eventually that evolved into, some of the most beautiful things that I feel like I've done,
Right.
curating the artwork and building these pieces. And to your point, building every box was like hand burned, and we were like old school mercury glassing the inside with like the gold like backing on it.
Yeah.
So listen, that again, there was no two alike, and it was more like, oh, this is cool. And then, Apple reached out and asked me to carve the first Apple Watch, when they came out. And that thing, as you know, has all the guts on the backside. So you can't bump that at all or mess with that thing, or the watch is, destroyed. But, again, so yeah, carved the Apple Watch, which was, obviously a very, very cool thing. I ended up carving quite a few Apple Watches for different clients throughout the time. And, eventually Timex reached out. And, the funny thing with Timex is like, it was my grandfather grew up wearing. I mean, that was the whole sort of premise of it. My grandpa, who I lived with until he passed away. I was fortunate enough. My grandpa lived with us for the last like 20 years of his life and really helped raise me, so, I got his Timex watch. And like I said, so the idea of doing and bringing some of that to, a larger manufactured watch, for sure, there was an interest to it, but I wanted it to be made here. I wanted the dials to all be, hand done. We took, kind of inspiration from some of the old military watches, the sort of day and night. But yeah, I mean, there's again, on those, there's no two faces the same. Every one of them has a different patina, a different standing. We wanted to have that sort of like a watch that had been around forever. And the casings, like we did every single one of those unique, and how we were torching them and the color and rainbowing you would get. And then the straps, we hand aged this was during COVID.
Yeah.
So I'm living in Calistoga at the time, like away from the world.
Yeah, you got out of here.
Out in my driveway, literally like buckets of like thousands and thousands of leather straps that I'm like aging and patining. And then came the boxes. And that was a spiritual. It was like middle of summer. And we're taking wooden boxes and torching them all the way down to their alligator skin, that beautiful black charred, like, it was like, yeah, it was a lot. But listen, again, something incredibly, proud of. And I think that was, again, another just things, the life's pass on how things go, I mean, I met Jay, years and years ago through a client, and, I had just basically learned how to cobble shoes. Again, no two shoes that I ever made will ever, they're all unique. I had made a pair of shoes out of an old Boy Scout backpack, from like the 40s or 50s. And, I got big feet. Jay's obviously got big feet, and I had done a collaboration with Max Fields.
Oh, the best.
And, they had like 8 pairs of my shoes, and him not knowing me happens to come walking into my shop on Fairfax. And I looked down, and the first day I met Jay, he's literally wearing a fucking pair of shoes that I had just cobbled, which was wild. And that was when we were like, I mean, we are fucking homies, buddy.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man.
And we've been attached and done everything together since.
That Max Fields, early on when I first moved to LA, it was so crazy, the prices of everything in there. But then you start to realize, you go like, wait a minute, if I buy this, nobody's gonna have this. That collaboration I did with him is probably still to this day some of the work I'm most proud of. Yeah,
just because it was all encompassing from all the tailoring and all the, from shirting to the tailored pants, the jackets, the cobbled shoes, the tattooed bags. We did an amazing exhibit of all the hand tattooed bags for them. That was we did all their windows. That was a cool collaboration for sure. Was
that the same time that, what was it, There Will Be Blood, or which movie did you do the booklets for?
Oh, The Revenant.
Oh man,
that is my proudest thing I've ever
That's
done.
the holy grail.
That's the holy grail of everything I've done. And as far as like just the time,
let's talk about
and
that
labor
again.
that went into that was like,
you made the clothes for that, right?
I did books. I did. So we did.
I remember the books.
1,500 books by hand.
Oh.
So they were they were struggling, I think, at the time with getting the Oscar and foreign press to recognize
that's right.
them for anything other than cinematography.
Right.
So they asked if I would help basically curate and build a piece to send out to the Oscar and foreign press that brought a little bit more of a tangibility and like reality to that period of time.
Yeah.
And what it was like to live then and things that you would have had. So, I basically I didn't have a lot of time, crazily enough, and the idea I pitched, I was obsessed with daguerreotypes, which is an early form of photography where it was done on the tin, and so I was like, let's build a daguerreotype book. No idea the cost to make a daguerreotype, how I was going to make a daguerreotype, but I pitched the studio and I pitched Alejandro, who was the director of that film, and they were like, yeah, and I was like, cool, I just got this thing, But I was like, I want to create three different levels of books. So there's like, here's the everyday book, here's the daguerreotype book, and then here, in the end, I ended up presenting 3 books. And then what I gave to the producers and to Alejandro and stuff, which was this crazy book of etchings. So anyway, began the process of like, okay, how are we building a daguerreotype? At the same time, trying to understand, because the movie wasn't out yet. So I got sent 29,000 screen grabs from Che, arguably one of the greatest cinematographers of all time. And so I have all these insane photographs in the film, but I don't know whose character's what.
Yeah.
So I start studying Hugh Glass. I knew Jim Bridger because I'm from Montana and I grew up in the Bridger Mountains. So I knew the Jim Bridger piece, but Hugh Glass I didn't. So reached out to the Library of Congress, reached out to the Mountain Man Museum, and basically just started getting fed all this insane information and happened to find a book. It was a book of poetry. A guy wrote a poem over a 30-year period of time in the early 1900s about Hugh Glass that even Alejandro didn't know about. So I used parts of that to basically create the sort of the literature that was inside the book.
Wow, 30-year poem.
A 30-year poem.
Unbelievable.
So it was 118 pages, I think, this document that they had at the Library of Congress. It was insane.
Wow.
So anyway, we did the daguerreotypes, like human hair in there. We had the old playing cards. And at one point, I had 55,000 pieces of paper literally aging in tea and coffee on Fairfax, like on tops of buildings, on every surface of like driveway, parking lots, drying. Yeah. The wind would come up and there would be pages blowing all over fucking Hollywood. And then, we hand bound all these things. Yeah. That was an incredible journey. But listen, they ended up getting 7 more Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
Through that. We did, we ended up doing the big Oscar party for them at my space on Fairfax. But yeah, that from just when I look at a completed package, from start to finish, I don't think in my lifetime that'll probably will always be the thing I'm most proud of, just as far as just like every single ounce of that was just like all the best that I had.
Well, it was a perfect example of what you do, the highest level, because here it is, you say, yeah, and you're not going to cut any corners. You want to do the ultimate, and the ultimate, what I was seeing was total torture to you, because I'd show up and you'd just be like fried.
I mean, we were working around the clock.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I mean, it was pushing, but that's when all the beauty comes out,
Of course.
Figuring out how to create a daguerreotype. I mean, when we were done, there's no way if you put one of the daguerreotypes we did next to an original, you could ever tell the difference. And we smoke and mirrored that in such an incredible way, and learned how with my friend Patrick. Patrick Keeler was a huge instrumental part of that. Building that together with him, and and DeKale, my buddy DeKale Ramasho, I think as well. The 3 of us, in the beginning, were really a big part of spearheading, especially the whole kind of look and feel of what that thing was going to be. And it was a lot, but again, I still have those around here. And the crazy thing is I was down to the last 2 books to finish that day, and I almost cut my pinky off.
Oh fuck!
Ended up in ER for like 6 hours. So there's actually a photo that I posted years ago, and my whole hand's like taped up, and I was still putting the books together and right up to the end. But yeah,
I'll tell you what you bring to me, because when we first met, I was like, oh, this is going to be a friend for life. You know, recently I shot my special in a cave, and when I was thinking about the special for years, I was like, well, everybody has a special, and, it's just in a club or a theater or an arena. And when I found this cave, I was talking to Burr about it, and he goes, yeah, you don't do yours in a cave or in a club. You're Dean Delray. You do it in the cave because you do everything crazy. And the inspiration that you bring to me is things that I bring to aesthetics, how I look, what I wear, but also shooting this special. Because when you see it, you go like, holy shit, nobody's done anything.
I mean, that photo you showed me the other night,
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, but that's all made, worn, influenced, and of being original outside the box. I had talked to a comedian. I said I could do it in a club, or I was thinking about doing it in this cool place. And the guy goes, no one gives a fuck where you shoot it. Just do it in the club and put it out. And I thought, that's not right. That's the wrong thinking.
Yeah.
That's the wrong thinking.
That is the wrong thinking.
Totally.
You have to it's got to be the whole thing.
It's got to be the whole thing.
That's always been the thing. For me, it's like you got to touch every sense.
Yeah.
Smell, sound. Like Fairfax, like when I first built, everyone was like, you can't put dirt and shit on the floor. I'm like, they're like, people are going to come in here and break their ankles. I'm like, well, then they need to learn to walk on dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like, I want that dust. I want people to walk in and the sound of like, what the hell am I walking into? You're
Right.
walking on concrete all the time. Like it's nice step. It's also a good surprise.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I get
like the smell of a cave and all that. It's like when
the smell of the cave.
See it, like you automatically are like you take some of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a reason Disneyland is what like without Disneyland, Mickey Mouse, all these characters, there's no foundation. You know what I mean? I've always said it. You've got to build the reality, or the two-dimensional doesn't work. It
Right.
just never doesn't.
Right.
So like creating, like you said, taking people out of that comfort zone and like putting it in like that's as impactful as anything you're going to say. Maybe sometimes even more impactful than anything you're going to say.
Well, I'm telling you, 100% of that cave idea comes from walking into Fairfax, your other place, because when I walked into the first time, I go, oh, when I get to a certain level, my house will look like this. That's all I think about all the time. Because when you walked in there, I could have shot a special in there, and it would have been, where the fuck are they? And right outside the door, we were on Fairfax and Melrose.
I mean, the fact that they let us, like, the fire department let us literally have fire pits there every day.
Yeah.
In a wheat field.
Yeah, in a wheat field. With those doll houses.
Yeah, we had our pet squirrels. That's what I miss that the most.
Yeah.
People haven't been there, like, we didn't raise, but eventually I feel like we raised squirrels.
Yeah.
But we had, like, I don't know, 4 generations of squirrels that went through there, and like they'd come and sit on my lap, they'd sit on my shoulder in my office.
Yeah.
We'd feed them blueberries and nuts, and like they literally became like family. It was wild.
Oh my God.
Till the bull came.
The
Bull.
Yeah.
The
What?
squirrel with the biggest set of nuts I'd ever seen, and he was just an asshole.
Is that the one that bite you?
Beat up our girls, bit me,
Yeah.
like. Yeah, he ran them all off except one little baby, and that baby we raised up until we left.
Wow. What happened there? They sold the property?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was a volatile time. There was that, the big thing that went down Fairfax, where a lot of that street was destroyed.
Yeah.
We had our fences kicked over that day, and so forth, and then we had a couple people that were killed behind our space in that alley, and it just started getting pretty violent down there.
Right.
And since we worked outside so much, I was just like, this isn't the right place. And then obviously COVID came, and I wanted a safer environment for myself and my guys. So we finally moved.
Yeah.
And then they sold the building, and now it's a high rise.
Yeah.
One of the last iconic recording studios is gone.
That was Jocko's place, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you think about the just in that block, next door was the hair salon.
Yeah, the hair salon.
Where from, Helter Skelter, and
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of lore on that street.
You still love Los Angeles?
Yeah, there's parts of it,
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you and I, like, we're no spring chickens anymore.
Right.
So, I like the energy of it, but I like, I live now up in the hills and tucked away. No one knows where I'm, where I'm at, which is pretty nice, and it's quieter. And obviously I still come into the shop every day. And, but yeah, I mean, I've been here since '98. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big part of my life at this point.
I still love it. I love
go like we did the other night.
Yeah,
that's
like
I'm not.
stuff.
I don't go into that world too much. But he brings back all that energy again.
Totally. Yeah, it's like and the great Bukowski, I got a full tank of fuel.
Yeah.
You go and you get the yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I'm going to see the Becoming Led Zeppelin tonight, the documentary I've been waiting to see for a couple of years. IMAX, I'm going to see it.
Oh, it comes out. Is it tonight?
Yeah. So over at Universal is where I'll be seeing it.
Dude, that's going to be great.
Yeah, it's playing all weekend. You should go. But I think when it all comes down to it, for me, it's still Led Zeppelin. I looked over here, the Nebworth and the Zeppelin stuff. The Peter Grant Iron Fist, the perfection of rock and roll, and all of that thing of Zeppelin. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And I know Maidworn has so much great Zeppelin stuff over the years. So
yeah, I mean, it's been, like I said, it's been a cool journey with them. When I first pitched, Maidworn working with them and doing stuff, it's definitely the most extensive presentation I've ever put together, and so yeah, to your point, the power and the personality of that band, and how insanely diverse the personalities are in that band.
Oh my God! I mean, to have John Paul Jones.
You think about the diversity, it's probably the most diverse, just pure personality of any band.
Yeah.
Put the Beatles probably up there too. When you just sheer talent.
Yeah.
And different views on things.
Yep.
And the fact that perfect storm for the period that it was worked so well.
Oh my!
It's probably right. I would say them and the Beatles, from just a pure
100%
looking at each artist for what they are and the talent. I mean, the Zeppelin, you got the voice, you got the guitar, you got the drum. It's just you're just insane. And the same with the Beatles. It's you have these savants.
Oh my God!
Beyond savants.
Yeah. I mean, George Harrison.
Steven Tyler talk about the first time he saw Zeppelin, he was crying in the thing. He was just yeah. I mean, it's they had that.
Yeah,
they had that thing.
I can't wait to see it.
And to me, listen, Page is Page. To me, Bonham. When you look at he's just a different thing.
Yeah.
To me, from a music standpoint and a talent, he's you can be Eddie Van Halen, Page, Hendrix,
right? Yeah.
Depending on who you are, you can have Prince. You can have in guitar, drums.
That's it.
That's it. His power. That's it.
Yeah.
That is it.
To me, it's all about Page's look every couple years. Dragon pants.
Yeah.
Poppy pants. Beard era with a fucking sweater that said Zoso on it.
They had their own. I mean, they had the freaking plane.
It's fucking had the plane.
They had a fireplace, I think. And couches.
Yeah.
I mean,
come on, man. It is the ultimate. Man.
I mean,
it is
to have
the
a
ultimate.
fireplace in your plane.
Yeah. All right. So Maidworn.com.
Maidworn.com.
Get your stuff. Sign up on the exclusive lists because they'll text you once a week or so, and you can get stuff before other people because this shit all sells out. And like I said, even if you don't have money, buy one shirt, your favorite band ever or a blank, and I guarantee you're going to wear this forever. And thank you so much for your friendship and your inspiration and doing what you fucking do, because you're one of the last in the world that'll put fucking blood, sweat, and tears into what they believe in.
Buddy, love you. It's
I love
amazing.
you, dude.
I'm stoked we got to do this again.
Oh, my God. I'm fired up, too, because anytime I come here, I feel great. And I can't wait to see what my N1's going to come out like.
I mean, your dog came in.
Yeah, Gertrude.
Gertrude immediately took a leak.
Yep. Yeah, he immediately took a leak in the...
Walked over by the piano and was like, this looks like a good spot.
I know,
it's
and she never does that.
Sort of in the forest.
She never does that. She just mistaked it.
My friend brought their dog a couple years ago. Walked in and, I got the taxidermy dogs in there looking at the meat.
Oh, yeah.
Walks right in, lifts its leg, pisses on the dog.
Oh.
It's like this little dog is like,
yeah, you ain't shit.
The only time I'm ever going to get a piss on a bigger dog.
Oh, my God.
Literally just instantly walked in,
that
leg
is
up,
fucking hilarious.
all over the dog.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Candles lit.